So to give full credit, Pat was like, you just need to present on this. Usually I come up with the presentation topic, and I came up with one. He's like, no, I'll do this instead. So hopefully this will be helpful. Just for context of where I built this out from, it's a 90-day sprint to install 5 core things. The first one obviously being marketing, but there are 4 others that are just as important. We'll hit on all 5. This is a sprint over 90 days. And the reason why I chose a 90-day sprint is because that's what we have built for our locations as a grand opening runway. So we start 3 months before we open, and we can typically, at least with we've got 3 now, with our first 2, we've been able to get to break even, which for us is about $20K a month, break even in that 90-day window. So with that urgency, right, because it's a sprint, like there's no sugarcoating it. I think that's one thing I would stress here is like, this is a sprint. This is not like a walk in the park. It's an aggressive sprint. But with that urgency of grand opening, like all hands on deck, we're gonna get this thing at least to break even from day one. So taking that same thought process, those same principles, and saying, okay, for an existing business that is currently operating, what are the things that we maybe need to either install new or revamp fresh that is just as impactful to add that kind of revenue? So the first one is going to be demand creation. So demand creation is all about making sure you build up all kinds of demand, lead generation being the primary one, but really just, I think grand openings come with a lot of buzz, right? Like you're the new thing in town. And so there's a lot of strategies we do that are maybe during let's call it normal business operations, you're not as urgent with, right? You're not as urgent with. So I'm going to first break down the 3 R's. Some of you are familiar with the 3 R's. If you're not, I'll hopefully teach you some stuff. And for those of you that are familiar with the 3 R's, I would say the reason why I put this first is I do think this is the most impactful thing that we do for lead generation. And I coach going on 80 gym owners now, and like a third of them implement it consistently. And it's like what drives me nuts, because I'm like, this is what you're missing a lot of times with lead generation. So the 3 R's, let's start with referrals. Referrals happen organically, of course, but we want to facilitate them. We want to ask for them. We want to create environments where clients want to refer. And many of you know this, the long tenured clients don't like to refer. It's kind of their space, it's their bubble, so they don't want to refer. So we do have to kind of create environments where they do want to refer. The easiest spot to install referral systems is at point of sale. So point of sale, when somebody signs up, if you give them, I recommend giving them something physical, like a postcard, just design it on Canva, and you can give them something that they can give to a friend, family member, coworker, etc. That is going to be their peak excitement of their journey with you, is the moment they sign up. And so we want to make sure that we capitalize on that. So for example, in our grand opening, part of our sales process is as soon as somebody signs up, we give them this buddy pass and highly encourage them and frankly ask them for contact info right there, who they're going to give this to. So at point of sale, you can do 7-day trial, 14-day trial, first month on us. A lot of that's going to depend upon what model you run, but you want something where it's like, hey, this is new, you're excited, you may want to bring somebody with you. If you know anybody that's a good fit, give them that offer. The most important thing with this is you do have to nudge them post point of sale. So if I sign up with you today, I would need a text, usually somewhere 5 to 7 days after, reminding me that you gave me that card. Because people will go home, they'll throw it on their dining room table, they'll throw it in their junk drawer, and they're on with their day. They forget about it. So we build into our onboarding sequence, I believe it's day 7, but frankly, anywhere in that first week, around that first week, just a text nudge of, hey, who did you give your guest pass to? Or who did you give your trial pass to? It just kind of puts the thought back in front of their mind. And ideally what you're looking for with this install is you're looking for, best case, you're looking for, our favorite is a three-way text introduction. A three-way text introduction. That's like the warmest handoff that you can get to say, hey, would you mind including us in a three-way text? Some people don't know what that is, but most people nowadays are familiar with group text. So that's the easiest introduction. You can put a QR code to a landing page on the postcard, which is what we do as well. That person could then fill out the form online, and of course you would get that from there. But point of sale referral, and really just capitalizing on every new client today going forward should be getting asked at point of sale to bring somebody. The other big one is creating, making sure every quarter you have some type of referral campaign. So this is designed for your existing clientele, and you rotate between like buddy weeks or bring, I have on here, you'll get this doc by the way in the group after. I call it bring a blank because blank needs to change. So everybody calls it bring a friend week, but it doesn't always have to be bring a friend. For example, we do bring a coworker week, bring a spouse week. They're all the same, right? It's a designated week where people can bring one. Valentine's Day, we crushed it with the week of Valentine's Day. We did bring a spouse, bring a loved one, and it was amazing because most of you that work with the training gym clientele, 50 plus clientele, you're well aware that most of your leads coming in are female, and the husband is always hesitant to join, and you will need something like this to get the husband in. They'll be very hesitant until, not that you may not even frankly want them, and some spouses don't want to train with their husband, but for those that do, they do need to bring a loved one, and there's some other things that help facilitate those kind of. Because for most of our models, just to zoom out for a second, most of our models are built around 120, 150 people. If you got 60 clients, like all you need is for each person to bring one person and you're full. So it's like I'm making it sound a lot easier, but that's the thought process behind some of these referral campaigns is like, listen, you just bring one person. I don't need you to bring 5. I just need everybody to bring one person. And the goal with that is obviously get them in the door for the week, wow them, and try to book an appointment on the back end of it. The other one that I still think is a play that's been around for decades that we kind of got away from that still works really well, you just have to mess with the prize, is the contest, referral contests. It used to be the iPads, it used to be the TVs. That strategy still works really well. You just have to change the prize. So everybody has iPads and TVs now, so you can't do that. But you could do things like we've done it really well with like the high-end Yeti coolers. Like we do one every summer. Coming up this summer, we'll do it where we buy like a $300, $400 Yeti cooler, build a whole beach display in the lobby, and everybody that gives us a contact of a friend or a family member, they throw a raffle ticket into the Yeti cooler. At the end of the month, we draw a winner. That winner gets the Yeti cooler. So you're essentially, spending $400 to get 30 leads, 40 leads, which for those of you that know cost per lead, that's really good, and they're referrals, so they're higher intent. So quarterly. So those 3 strategies are the big quarterly ones. So basically, if we're not doing a bring a spouse week, bring a buddy week, whatever, we may be pushing the quarterly prize, right? If we're not doing the quarterly prize, maybe we're handing around passes. But every month, like not some months, every month, 12 months a year, we are doing one of those referral strategies. So point of sale is 365. And then every month, we're not going to run bring a buddy every month because that would get stale. But maybe we do it like we did it in February. We'll probably do it, I don't know, May, right? And then, but in between there, it may be the prize. It may be handing out buddy passes. There's got to be something on that plan every month for facilitating referrals. So that's the first R. The second R is reconnections. And we used to call these reactivations. And then Pat gave me the term reconnection, and it clicked to say that's really the goal. We can't go into these conversations with the goal of reactivating. We have to go into it with the intent of reconnecting. So what this is pulling a list, which you should have at any given time, you should always have a list of all former clients, trials, and leads. Everybody that's basically, inquired or been in your facility. And this one requires work, but it does, of the three, it typically works from a volume perspective, from a return. It typically has one of the better returns every month, which is, now you have this list of all these former clients. If you have a coaching team, you divvy it up to the coaching team based upon who they know. And every month, they're responsible for doing a reconnection reach out. So I have on here for you to view the process of that. It's honestly pretty straightforward. The key is picking the opener question. So the opener question is a curiosity-based question. It's not a, hey, we're running the special, come back, we miss you. It's a curiosity-based question like, are you currently following an exercise plan? Or, in January, we sent out ones like, what's your 2026 plan for fitness? We're just trying to reactivate a response. And sometimes, honestly, they're not even fitness-based questions. If you know the person really well, it's just a reconnection question like, hey, how's your son doing in basketball? Right? Like just an opener question. Biggest mistake we make with these questions, one is we don't personalize them. They have to be personal nowadays. The reactivation, like shotgun approach campaigns, we don't see work much anymore. We very much rely on the one-to-one reach outs. They have to be personal and they have to be very short, very, very short, like a single sentence. So it's not, hey, this is Doug from Spurling Fitness, just reaching out to you. By the way, what's your fitness plan? It's literally, what's your fitness plan? Or whatever your question is. Because 90% of the time, they have your number saved because they're a former client, former trial. So they know your number. Worst case, they don't know who you are, and they reply, who is this? And then you can take it from there. So the reconnection reach outs are huge. I have a whole playbook in this training that breaks down the tree of once they reply, how to then move the conversation to get them in the door. But as you all know, getting the reply is the hardest part. This is a volume game. So typically for us, at least what we do, you can figure out your own numbers. But what we do is we give 100, we pull 100 names every month, and each coach gets 25 names. And then they have the month, which the thought process is at least one a day. If they want to batch the 25, they batch the 25, but one reach out a day at minimum to former clients. And again, ideally, whether it's you or one of your coaches, they know the client. So it's not like a completely cold reach out. It's also not it should have some personalization to it. So that's reconnections. And then the third R is relationships. And again, this is one that everybody likes to do, and if I drive anything home with this is just a sprint of consistent implementation. So in our grand openings, how we implement this strategy is we create gift baskets. We go on, I honestly don't know where Josh gets them, probably Amazon or Costco or one of the, anywhere you can buy bulk gift baskets. And you make gift baskets up. So think like, the Easter basket kind of shape, throw some goodies in there, kind of like, that setup over there, like grab and go type snacks. Don't make them super healthy. And in the middle of it, put in some way for somebody to inquire. So typically we do postcards, like oversized postcards with some testimonials, some social proof, an offer to start, could be a free trial, could be first 28 days risk-free, something like that. And this is a volume game. What you're doing is you're just walking in. I call it like walking in like Santa Claus. You're just walking in, dropping a gift off, and if something happens, great. In our grand opening, we make, usually in our last one, we tried to hit 500. I think we missed it by a couple, but several hundred baskets. And then literally Josh loaded them up in his truck and business, drop them off. The goal is everybody in your town has a postcard from you. The goodies are just the entry into the door. The goodies are just the entry into the door, right? Like no business is gonna be mad if you walk in, you're like, hey, I'm new to town, just wanted to introduce myself. Here's some goodies for your team. And by the way, if you ever need a fitness solution, check us out. That's it. I'm not asking for referrals. I'm not asking to, I don't love the whole, how can we partner? How can we JV? I don't like that angle nowadays. And the reason why I don't like it is because you're busy and your time is limited, and I only want to teach you things that are the most effective. So it's not saying long term that those JVs would not be beneficial. It's to say, one, the runway of those are very long, and two, most small businesses in town are not sitting in meetings like this thinking about how to grow their business. They're thinking about like how to make the coffee because there's a line 12 deep waiting for like the coffee to be made, right? And they got, a teenager working the counter that's, barely showing up sober to work or whatever, right? Like they're completely immersed in the day-to-day, right? They're not thinking about partners. They're not thinking about any of this. So with these gift baskets, it is volume, and we literally just block off. Fridays works well. Doesn't have to be Fridays, but for us, it was Friday afternoons. Block off a 2-hour block, load up your car, and drop them off. Again, you're not asking for anything in return. If that's uncomfortable to you, find somebody that has a little bit more like an I, if you're familiar with the DISC personality. People, they like people. They like talking to people that they don't know. Those, if you have somebody on your team like that, great. If you don't, well, then you're up. The gift basket play is not a instant, like I'm going to go get 10 clients today. But what we do find when we go into a new town, we very quickly become known, because if we can get in every business, everybody in that town has at some point going to visit that business. So whether we're working at that business, whether we're visiting that business, it doesn't matter. The gift basket play is huge. Now, just to add one more additional comment on that, the gift basket play works really well for B2B businesses, meaning the, offices like law firms, accountant firms, insurance brokers, like B2B. Just go in. The ultimate goal is to get it to the break room. Everybody tends to, and I get it, like they tend to default to like wellness-based businesses. And frankly, I think the percentage of those in a town are very small, and two, they tend to be a little bit more protective and hesitant versus like the local law firm where it's just a bunch of like, 50-year-old dudes hanging out and they're like, sure, I'll take some goodies. And then maybe they give it to their spouse or something, right? We like that play, but we're not, the key is we're not selective. We're like, I think sometimes the same thing with reconnections. You don't want to trim the list too tight. Like literally use your Chamber of Commerce, use ChatGPT, get a list of every business in your town and just gamify it. Like that's what we do. When we go into a new town, we pull a list of every business in town, we print it out, and it's just a game to get to all of them by the time we open. So that kind of urgency with the gift baskets can go really well. Now, something that we've recently been testing is, many of you know our fishbowl strategy that I talk about, where it's a raffle. And those work well for B2C businesses. So your coffee shops, your salons, your nail places, places where there's high traffic customers coming in every day. Something we've been testing, we used to just have the fishbowl and the flyer, as many of you know, right? So fishbowl, flyers, raffling off like a 2-month membership or something like that, 3-month membership, right? Well, over here, we were giving away gift baskets to these businesses, right? And what we've been doing is we've now been taking that gift basket and putting it with the fishbowl. So it's gift basket, fishbowl. So we essentially create like a unique gift basket for that business. So it'd be like Joe's Coffee Shop, and here's a gift basket where you can win 4 weeks of training at Spurling Fitness, plus a $50 gift card to Joe's Coffee, plus a bag of coffee. It's like, cost you whatever, $50 to put together. But you raffle one of those off. What's nice about it is part of that gift basket is including stuff from Joe's Coffee. So even if I'm not interested in Spurling Fitness, I'm at least interested in winning Joe's Coffee. But it's a physical gift basket that sits out there for 2 or 3 weeks, and people just enter the raffle to win. And that seems to be getting a little bit better traction than just the flyer, obviously, because it stands out more. So that's just a little spin on what we've been doing to ramp up the gift baskets and fish bowls. So those are the 3 R's. The other one is the 3-2-1 approach on contacts. So 3-2-1 approach. By the way, if you don't know, I try to like put a name to every process. So that was the 3 R's. This is 3, 2, 1. It really helps my team remember, like, these are the priorities. So I can easily say, like, hey, where are we at with the 3 R's? Or where are we at with the 3, 2, 1? Like, is that getting done? Versus, like, did you send your 3 emails this week? For some reason, for a lot of people, whether it's an acronym or a title of a framework, it just really sticks. So with your 3, 2, 1 approach, and this is the second part of we're still in that system 1 for creating demand, right? Creating a lot of demand. So 3 R's is 1, and then the 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1, this used to just be email, your email strategy. And now I very confidently say email and text. Email and text. I don't know about you, but it's approaching 90%. Last time I pulled the numbers, like 85, 86. 90% of our leads respond via text message. So number one, and I hopefully will, like, by the end of this year, have to stop saying this. You need the ability to text your leads. Like, if you are not texting your leads, you are missing out on a massive, massive conversion. We use automatic members. They come all in, whether it's through Messenger, whether it's through lead form, whether it's through, if they're on a fishbowl entry, they're getting manually entered because they're just pen and paper entries. They all go into automatic members, and then we can text and email and do all that from there, right? But you got to be able to text your leads, which we'll talk about under the second system. But with the marketing, I also want to be sending out text messages, not just email. So the 3, 2, 1. 3 is your 3 newsletters a week. Those are all email. 3 newsletters a week. I'm not saying they're not important. I'm not saying they are that you should skip them, because they do nurture the audience, and they are certainly a staple of what we do. But I want you to spend very little time on this. I want you to. I would encourage you. I would encourage you to take the templates that we give you that are done for you, add a little bit of personalization to it, make sure it's timeless, and schedule them out for the month. It's more, I found recently, it's more about that they just hear from you and see your name in your inbox rather than like how good the email is, right? Again, could you go deep and make it really good and get a better ROI? Yes, but you're busy and you have 100 other things to do. So if I'm looking at the 3, I'm like, just nail the 3, schedule them out, and hit kind of, I don't want to say check that box, because I would never come with that approach, but make it good enough. I don't want you spending 5 hours scheduling out your emails for 3 days a week. Okay, that should be like a 30-minute thing, off and done. The ones that will, now you can't do 2 and 1 without doing 3. So 3 kind of builds your base. You're not going to get a lot of replies from them, but it kind of builds your base so that you're not always in somebody's inbox asking for something. Where you ask for something is 2 and 1. So the 2, and these are where it's 2 emails, and these are also delivered via text, are your engagement messages. So we send them both as an email and as a text. They go out twice a month, and it's a one-liner engagement text or engagement email. It's literally the same. What we send as an email, we also send as a text. So it's an engagement question. It could be an A/B question, like, are you currently following an exercise plan or just looking to get started? It's A/B. Or multiple choice question, like a sorting question. So which one are you? A, B, C. Are you not working out on your own, or working at a gym? Working out of the gym. Like any type of A, B, C question, A, B question, we just rotate through them. And the entire goal, they're called engagement because the entire goal is to get that lead to engage. So they reply. And my recommendation when somebody replies is to ask another A/B question. And then once they answer that second A/B question, then you would go in for the ask of, first step is blank, let's set you up with that. And we'll talk about that under the second system, which is the conversion engine. So that's your 2. We send 2 of those every month. And then your 1 is you have to have 1 deadline-driven offer every month. 1 deadline-driven offer every month. So our deadline-driven on our grand opening is we do a founder's membership, and there's only 50 of them. The founding member receives all these perks. And so there's a deadline, both of it goes away when we open, or when it sells out of the 50. Those are both deadlines. And then we keep that rolling with different deadlines every month. Humans need deadlines, right? We need like something that is going to say, okay, I should do this now. So deadline driven could be, the deadline could be a deadline of a certain amount of spots. It could be this month. It could be this week. Like it doesn't, the deadline is there's ways to finesse your messaging to still make it feel like a deadline rather than like, you know, this program starts on X date. You could do that too, but there's other ways to kind of finesse your messaging to make it feel like a deadline. These deadline-driven messages are pushed hard for 3 to 5 days, text messages and email. All right, so that's the 3-2-1 approach. Again, at the end in Q&A, happy to answer questions on any of this. The last part of the demand engine is this used to be optional, and frankly, I think if you want to stand a chance in the marketplace nowadays, it's no longer optional, which is paid ads. We would not be, I would not have 3 locations without paid ads. There's like no getting around it. The stuff I just taught works, and that gets us a third there to grand opening. 2/3 of it is from paid ads. There's just this level, I think, of the industry continues to climb as like, what is the minimum in order to be competitive in the marketplace? And paid ads, you know, when I first started running paid ads, 2015, 2016, whatever, 10 years ago, it was like you were the cool kid. You were the only one running ads. So you got the woohoo form and you woke up the next morning with 100 leads and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then everybody started running ads. And then it kind of got to this point where some people were running ads, some people weren't running ads. Some people were like, I only run ads during these certain months. And here's the reality. I think ads are 365, never off, and it's just a dimmer. It's not a light switch. So I don't care if you spend 20 bucks a day. You should be able to be cash flow positive right away. We run ads now for 25, 26 gyms. Fred runs half of them, and then we have a gentleman that helps us out on the sports performance side. I mean, the ROI on it, this is the way you have to think about it. If you spend 500 bucks on ads, all you need for most of you is a single client out of that. Because if that client stays 2-3 months, there's your ROI. Everything else that comes in after that is profit, is cash flow, is new clients. So you have to run paid ads. I used to say, like, if you're over X, you got to run paid ads. But I don't care if you're doing 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month, you have to run paid ads. So we can obviously help with that. You can try it on your own. I just think that it's like anything else. If you want to get good at it, go down that. We have clients that run them themselves and they do great at it, but that's like their little passion project, and they get good at testing creatives and testing and know all the connections and know the targeting. And, you know, that's not my lane. I'm not deep in the weeds at that, but what I will say is paid ads for grand opening for us is a non-negotiable. We spend about 10 grand in those 3 months on paid ads. And for every gym that I work with, the ones that are doing well in Project 500, Boardroom, there's other things that they're doing, but they're also running paid ads. So you got to fit that into your budget, just like you're spending money on everything else. Even if it's 20 bucks a day, that's $500-600 bucks a month. A client or two pays for it. Now, the last thing I'll say with paid ads is it's really important as a business owner to understand that every lead is a different level of intent. Every type of lead is coming in at a certain point within the funnel. So we have top of funnel, mid funnel, and bottom of funnel. Top of funnel is like awareness. I just want to learn who you are. I don't know if I want to join. I might not ever join, whatever. But I'm just creating awareness that you exist in my brain. Mid-level is like, I'm interested. Let me learn more, but I'm not ready to join. And then bottom of funnel is like, I'm ready to join. Give me an offer, right? So one, don't always hit bottom of funnel because you're never going to have anything up here. Top of funnel, by the way, as an example, would be like a video testimonial, right? Showing your audience a video testimonial. That's just like, here's a cool story. Connect, don't connect, no call to action. Just like, here's what we do. And I'm not saying it, my client's saying it, right? That would be a top of funnel example. Mid-funnel example would be like an info packet. Info packet is, a PDF of like essentially a 10-page PDF about what you do, some frequently asked questions, some social proof, whatever. That would be mid-funnel, and that would be an example of like, I'm interested, I want more information, but it doesn't mean I'm ready to join. And then bottom of funnel is like, hey, here's this program, start today. And so ideally you're hitting all three, but understand that people come in at all different points, so you can't get mad. We were talking about this last night. You get 50 leads in. We're gonna all want to obsess over the 40. You get 50 leads from Meta, right? Just as an example. We're all gonna want to obsess over the 40 that don't respond, don't speak English, too far, whatever fill in the blank reason. You have to get good at saying, cool, thanks, get out of my way, and move on to the 10 that are gonna come in the door. It's a volume game. It's a volume game. 10%, by the way, is our internal target. 10% of Meta leads we want in the door. Now, blended across all of our leads, it's 30%, but that's because we're getting website leads, we're getting Google leads, we're getting replies from an email. Those are higher intent. Those are warmer. But don't get mad at Facebook when it's 50 leads and 40 of them aren't good fits. That is the game. The game is focusing on the 10 that you can get in the door. All right, that is your third key to demand, which is paid traffic. Let's talk about system 2, which is your conversion engine. So by the way, if I put it in 90 days, you'll see on the sheet, I put it in a 90-day framework. I would spend the next 30 days building out that first engine, that demand engine, making sure all that stuff is built out, nailed, consistent, implementing month after month after month. System number 2 is the conversion engine, which most of you already have this part. You just want to kind of spice it up a little bit, tighten it up a little bit. Your conversion engine is basically what's your process for taking that lead and turning them into a client, right? So now somebody's raised their hand, we've created demand, but I need to get them to become a client. And that is your demand engine. So the first part of that is your follow-up. By the way, this is where I spend probably at least half of my time in coaching gym owners right now. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I say it as like, this is a big opportunity because the demand engine is, it has a very clear playbook. Like if you run those plays, I will guarantee you get leads. Like I can very confidently say you run those plays the way I outlined them, you will get leads. But getting leads and getting clients are two different things. You have to take that lead and turn it into a client. So the gap there, most of the time, is your follow-up. So for follow-up framework, there are a couple key things that I would really stress on tightening up. Number 1 is speed to lead. This is our most important metric that we track. And speed to lead is how fast you reply to a lead when they come in. So yes, you can install some automation, but you also want to make sure you're calling your leads. And yes, they won't answer, and that's okay. It will still help your conversion. There is a direct correlation, and I will continue to say this until there is not. There is a direct correlation to the gyms that call their leads and the amount of appointments that they book, and the gyms that don't call their leads and the amount of appointments they book. It is a night and day difference. Now, these people aren't getting their clients to, their leads aren't answering the phone. But imagine if I just gave you this Google Doc and didn't do this presentation. Right? It wouldn't be as effective, hopefully. If I do my job right over the next hour, it wouldn't be as effective, right? So people, just the voice coming through on the voicemail authenticates it. It's not a bot. It's not spam. Oh yeah, I filled that out. Let me go answer that text message that I thought was spam. Whatever, right? Super powerful to call your leads, and speed to lead is super important. We're currently around 15 minutes, and we're trying to get it down. My goal is single digit. I don't think less than that's probably, like, people will say call your leads in the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, you clearly don't run a business because there's other things to do. But it is important. You do want somebody, whether it's you or somebody on your team, responsible for calling those leads right away and installing some type of automation. Ideally, text, email, calls, 2 weeks. Question I always get, how often do you follow up with leads? We follow up hard for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, then they just end up on our newsletter and our text list, and they'll get our kind of nurture stuff and occasional ask. But if they don't answer within the first 2 weeks, we're not going to waste time with them. We're very big on we're going to go hard for 2 weeks, and specifically in the first week. And if you don't answer after that, we got plenty of other people we can follow up with. So really, really big growth opportunity here, not to focus on the person that's not interested. Just say cool and move on and go to the next person. 25 to 30% of your leads should book. So that's blended. That's blended. So you can reverse engineer your targets. You all know your close rate, which most of you, I would assume 80% close rate, 90% close rate. If it's higher than that, you're not meeting with enough people. And if it's lower than that, your prices are potentially, if it's higher than that, your prices are too low. And if it's lower than that, we might have some sales training to do. But 70, 80% close rate is totally fine and probably where most of you are at. It's not usually the problem. So you can reverse engineer. If I'm closing 8 out of 10 people, how many appointments do I need to book? And then from that, I know, well, if 25% of my leads are going to book appointments, and that's good. Like 25% of leads booking appointments is good. So like I think gone are the days of only needing, like we used to teach, I remember when I first got in with Pat, we used to teach 30, 20, 10. Right? So 30 leads, 20 appointments, 10 consults. And what shifted over, this is where you have to like change and I don't say keep up, but move to where things are shifting to. For example, in our locations, our target is 25 appointments a month. So we need to generate 100 leads to hit that target. So that means we're following up with 75 people that are not going to join. So that's a lot of work, of course, and your numbers may not be 25 appointments, maybe you only need 10 appointments. But my point is, people nowadays inquire for stuff left and right that I mean, you all know it. The people that inquired didn't even know they inquired about something, right? So that never used to be a problem, which is why we could say 2/3 of your leads, so 30 down to 20. But things have changed where our close rate's actually gone up. So if I meet with 20, I'm not going to close 10. I'm probably going to close 15 or 16 or 17. But I'm not going to take 30 down to 20. I'm not going to get 20 leads out of those 30 to book. No way. So 25% is the standard. What that means for all of you, as us as an industry, is the amount of leads that we need to book appointments is becoming a lot higher. I remember we used to be able to get away with 30, 40, 50 leads. And now it's like, oof, it's a lot, right? So follow up, speed to lead, 25% should book. All right, the other part of that second system is there's 3 parts to every system, by the way. So I covered the 3 on demand. That's the first one of the conversion. Now let's talk about your sales process. So you're following up with them. You need to bring them to a singular sales process. A singular sales process. So for example, in our grand opening, we do not have a facility open yet. So our process is different. Our process is we follow up with you, we schedule a call with you, we sell you over the phone, and then you come in once our facility is open. And there's no like, well, you could do that, or you could wait till we come in, or that's the process. Singular process. Most important part we make in the sales process is that there's a step 1, step 2, step 3. And it's very linear. It's not a tree. So for most of us, it is in person. If you have the option, I have a note here of in person versus call. If I was running your business, I would have you do in person. And the reason is you will always close more people in person. Now, we have plenty of clients that close over the phone, and we close over the phone during pre-sale because we don't have a facility open yet. So phone sales can be done, and they work. You're just always going to have a higher close percentage in person. So the goal is to have a singular appointment that you sell at. If you are selling a training gym, which most of you are, or training services, you do need a sales consultation. Now, you don't need to call it that. You call it a success session. You call it a game planning session. You call it an athlete analysis. Call it whatever the heck you want, but it's all the same thing. Who are you? What are your goals? Here's how we work. Here's the membership I recommend. And so everybody goes through that. Everybody goes through that. Now, the reason why that's very important, one is it makes your follow-up a lot easier, because I'm not saying, well, you could start with a trial, or you could do this, or you could do that. No. First step, success session. Come in for that. That's our first step. Everybody does that. I have Monday at 5 or Tuesday at 6. Which one works better for you? So it streamlines all of your follow-up to that singular appointment. And the metric becomes, how many appointments can I book? Now at that appointment, most of you are good at this. This is usually not a bottleneck. The thing that I would encourage you to tweak with your sales appointment is we are getting everybody right into membership. We have done away with the trial, and it is because of two things. The reason, and by the way, I'm just sharing what's worked for us with this, and you know, our gyms that we help in Project 500 and Boardroom. If you want to sell the trial, great, but I've done that for years, and it's an absolute headache trying to chase these people down and convert them, right? And so here's how it works. Here's how you get people to not do a trial. Number one, and the most important one, is you do need to have a guarantee. You do need to have a guarantee. The guarantee can be very basic, but you do need to stress it. And this is the key where this will take practice. Like, you will have to role play this. Our guarantee is 28 days, love it or leave it. You sign up for a membership today. Within the first 28 days, if you don't like it, no questions asked, come see us, we'll cancel your membership. We have, you know, sports performance guys that will do more performance-based guarantees. So, hey, we'll add a mile per hour to your speed. We'll make you jump 3 inches higher, like performance-based guarantees. I think for athletes, performance-based guarantees work. For adults, it's all about removing the risk of liking it. So we don't need weight loss we don't need numerical guarantees in the Gen Pop world. They just need to know, am I going to like this? Is this going to be a good fit for me? So that's why we just use a very simple 28-day love it or leave it. Now, if you just slap a logo on your website that says 28-day love it or leave it, that ain't going to cut it. This has to be embedded in your sales process so that when I meet with somebody, every single time it's goals, history, here's how we help you solve those goals and overcome that history. Here's the membership I recommend, and it's backed by our 28-day love it or leave it. See me within the first 28 days if you don't like it. So it can't be this like casual mention. It has to be like completely embedded within that sales process. So that guarantee is super important. The other second key thing, we call it a Godfather offer now. It used to be called the fast action offer. We had a client that called it a Godfather offer. And if you're familiar with the movie Godfather, you'll know why. I just like it. I like names of things. I like names that stick, and that stuck with me. So we call it the Godfather offer, which is an offer you can't refuse. Basically, it says, here's why you should join today and not wait. At this table only, I will give you boom, boom, and boom. So ours is we'll give you half off your first payment. We'll waive your enrollment fee. And for our clientele, they're all jacked up, so we give you a free eval at our physical therapy office. So 3 things. Usually a discount on the first payment. I love an enrollment fee, even though I never charge one, because it's another thing I can waive. And then if you do have a partner, like a PT that you work with or anything like that, they'll gladly do a free eval. Nobody takes you up on it anyways, but it's a nice bonus at point of sale. So you say, if you sign up today, it's only today. If you sign up today, don't forget our guarantee, but if you sign up today, I'll give you this, this, this. So why does somebody need to do a trial? The reason why people needed to do trials was because either it was cost, so half off first payment, or I'm not sure I'm going to like it. I'm not sure it's going to work with my schedule. I'm not sure it's going to be a good fit. Whatever. So that's where the guarantee comes in. So we have completely removed trials. I made a rule within our team 12 weeks ago at our last offsite team meeting. You can't even use the word trial. Like, it's not even in your mouth anymore. You can't say it. So for what it's worth, It's worked if you install the guarantee in the Godfather offer. All right, the last part of the conversion engine, that third part, is profitable pricing. So you have to be priced right. It makes no sense if you sell leads into coming in your door and you get them in your door and you sell them into something that is not profitable for you. So you have to ensure that you are priced appropriately. I see less of this nowadays, but we still see it, which is a good sign that we see less of it. So profitable pricing. Couple things that I would say are common practice nowadays that I would encourage you to adopt. Number one is we bill every 4 weeks. That gives you a 13th bill cycle. That also allows you to position your memberships as weekly. So we sell our memberships as $99 a week. We bill every 4 weeks, so $396. So it's a little bit more palatable to the prospect coming in. They hear 99 bucks a week for personal training, not bad. And then once they sign, we'll tell them as we're going through it, it's 99 bucks a week. We bill every 4 weeks, so you're going to see $396 every 4 weeks. Most people don't care. We occasionally, like 1 in 25 maybe, I don't even know the number. Like, I bet you if I audited our accounts, there might be a half dozen across all 3 locations of people that wanted on the same day every month. And for that, you just take it times 13, divide it by 12, and that's your cost for the 12 months if you need to customer service that. But you'll be surprised, most people could care less. So that's your bill frequency. That gives you a little bit of leverage there. And then the obvious one is making sure you're actually priced right. So obviously market dependent. I'm always hesitant to just throw out prices because every market is different. But I very rarely come across a market in the US that their small group pricing is less than $40, should be less than $40 a session. So small group, just so we're speaking the same language, 6 to 1, minimum $40 a session. Doesn't mean you're billing $40 per session. It means if you're selling a twice a week membership, if I'm charging $40 a session, that would be 80 bucks a week, times 4 would be $320, right? Small group 40, I have here semi-private at minimum of 60 and one-on-one at minimum of 100. Those, what I would consider to be in, like, I'll say 90% of markets is like the floor, and then we adjust up based upon the market. So for example, we're in Maine. Everybody thinks it's like the middle of nowhere, but Southern Maine is pretty affluent. And so we charge $99 a week. So it breaks down to about 45 bucks a session. We have Colin, who's our new coach in Project 500. He's down in Massachusetts, and he's similar pricing, Massachusetts based. So then you get into, like extreme markets like the LAs. Sure, they might need to go up, but very rarely do you need to go down. Those are kind of the thresholds. So what that means is you all can change your current pricing. Like, we changed our pricing publicly from $89 to $99 a week. And all it literally took me to do was to tell the team, hey, go update the Canva price sheet and go into Anomaly and change the price on the membership. That's it. It's a 2-minute change to change new pricing going forward because it's new people. They don't know what the price is. So changing new pricing going forward is, you could do that Monday. You could do that today and have it ready for Monday. The bigger anchor to pull, that is the elephant in the room, is all of us have these clients that have been with you for 10 years that pay 99 bucks a month when they should be paying 300, right? And you do, and this is one of my big focuses with gyms because I've been through the pain, I get it. You do have to bring those people up. You will never outgrow it. Trust me, I tried. For 10 years, I didn't increase our prices, and I tried to just outgrow it, and it didn't work. It worked, but it wasn't like optimal. So we did a 30% price increase to our single location. We lost like 100 people, but we do more revenue now at 300 clients than we did at 400 clients. So there's a bell curve to that, right? Now, I'm not recommending that extreme adjustment, but my point is you do need to pull up the bottom. Easiest thing to do, not saying it's easy, but the easiest thing to do is to draft a letter, email it out tell them, I'm paraphrasing here, obviously you use Claude or something like that to help you make it sound way more professional, but paraphrase by say, here's loyal pricing. You've been a client for X number of years. We're super grateful. We do need to keep up with times, blah, blah, blah. Here's what you currently pay. Here's what your new rate's going to be. Here's what it breaks down to per session. Because for most of the time, you can break it down to say you're increasing at $50 a month. If they come 10 sessions a week or 10 sessions a month, that's $5 a session. So you phrase it as we're increasing prices $5 a session rather than $50 a month, right? Send out the letter, give them 30 days notice, make the change effective April 1st, May 1st, whatever. And then you'll have a percentage of people that will complain. Always keep in mind in this industry, there's always a group of people, you all know this, but I just want to remind you, there's always a group of people that will complain about everything. No matter what you do, they will complain about it and they will never leave. And you all laugh because you all have those clients. They like to complain, but they also never leave. So people will complain about your price increase. There's no denying that. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be this glamorous thing and everybody's going to be like, oh, thank you for increasing my price. People will complain, but very rarely will somebody leave, especially for that marginal increase. And the key is every 6 to 12 months, 12 months is probably better. We had to do 6 and then 6 because we had such a gap, like $100+ gap. But we gotta get that bottom up. Okay. So that's your profitable pricing. That's the end of system 2. All right, let's move on to the delivery. That's system 3. So this is how you deliver your services and retaining your clients. Now we're in this sprint, we're about 6 weeks in. So we've got our demand cranking. We fixed our sales process, our follow-up, and our pricing. So now we got to focus on current clients and making sure they like it and stay. Usually not as big of an issue, which is why I have it as number 3. But I will tell you, as you grow, this issue becomes the bigger issue. I will say transparently for our business, where we spend most of the time fine-tuning things at this stage, is this next system and the 4th one, 3 and 4, which is your team. 4 is your team, just to preview. Because 1 and 2, once you have the playbook down, it's running the play every day, 12 months a year, 365. And I'm not saying there's not new stuff to tweak or new stuff to test, but it becomes this engine, which is why I use that term, that like, hopefully you turn your car on today and it just turns on, right? You're not ever thinking, is this car going to turn on? But in marketing and in that conversion process, we want to get to a point where we just know the car's going to turn on and go, right? And that's just, I would love to tell you it's anything else on top of what I taught, but it's that paired with consistency. As far as the client experience goes, again, 3 key things. First one is going to be your first 30 days. Really mapping out the first 30 days of a client and what you want to happen within the first 30 days. So that can be delivered 2 ways, and I have not found a way to only deliver it one of these. One of these is automated, one of these is manual, and we still do have quite a bit of manual within the first 30 days of onboarding. So the automated is the easy one. Your automated onboarding sequence, make it 30 days long. Again, these are fairly easy to whip up nowadays. Just the biggest thing with your onboarding sequence is don't educate them. Get them to implement what they bought. So educating would be like, hey, here's 5 at-home workouts you can do when you don't make it to the gym. Hey, here's 3 tips on protein. That would be education. And frankly, it's noise at this point for a lot of them. It's not what they need. What they need is to get the bare bone basics of what you want them to implement. So examples. For us, we find a significant amount of people that benefit from having joined our community Facebook group. So we have a members only Facebook group. Not everybody's on Facebook, not everybody gets in there, but the people that are in there tend to be a little bit more engaged as a client. So in almost every single message within that first 30 days, at somewhere, either in the body or in the PS, is a reminder link to join our Facebook group. Other big thing, We get tons of questions on how to schedule, how to use our app, all that stuff. So we cover that multiple times within the first 30 days. We do screen recordings on the phone, we do visuals, we do written, and it's not just once, but multiple times throughout the first 30 days, they're receiving tutorials on how to use the scheduling app. We might have a message on, we work with a population, many of you do as well, that is always navigating injuries. And so we have multiple pieces of content that go out around, here's what happens when you get injured. So I'm not saying if, I'm saying when, because I know it's when, it's not if. When you get injured, here's how we're going to handle it. And obviously I'm trying to get upstream of any potential issues down the line. When you do get injured and you ask to cancel, I'm going to try to get upstream of that and say, when you get injured, here's our process for how we navigate that, which obviously is a much more proactive approach, keeping you involved, working with your PT, blah, blah, blah. So that's the kind of content I like in onboarding, not educational based. The manual part of it, and maybe if we're sitting here in this room a year from now, there's a way to do this manually. Maybe there's a way now that I don't know about. I don't know. But the manual part of what we do is there are a plethora of little things that need to get done within the first 30 days. Examples. You use automatic members. If you use automatic members like we do, we handle everything on automatic members from the time they become a lead all the way through until they purchase. They purchase in Nomly, which scheduling and billing. Well, to move from automatic members to Nomly, eventually this won't be the case, but right now it's a manual task. So we have to have a spreadsheet, and it's called onboarding checklist, very basic spreadsheet, but it has the name of the client, and then it has like 10 boxes. And one of them is adding them to Nomly because they don't automatically get added. Now you could set up Zaps, and I'm sure there's all kinds of automations, things like that. Another example, our programming software. Our programming software is in a bubble. It doesn't connect to any other software. So doesn't coordinate with Zap, doesn't have any of these automations. So the client needs to be added to the programming software. Somebody manually needs to go in once the client signs up, add them to the programming software. Other examples. You'll hear about it under recognition. We do milestone celebrations. So when a client hits 10 visits, they hold up a little sign that says 10 visits. They collect a little medallion that has a 10 on it, etc. Well, there's really no easy way to know, did somebody actually get that moment? Like, did that moment actually happen? Like, I can look in the CRM and see if you've had 10 visits, but how do I know that moment of celebration to say, hey, Aaron, awesome job. Today's your 10th visit. High five. And that moment right there, like that's a pretty cool moment. And we do it at 10, 25, 50, etc. There's got to be a manual process to check that box that client had that moment. I can track the automated email that might go out and say you hit 10 visits, but I don't think that's as powerful as I'm going to have you hold up a sign. People in your session are going to congratulate you, etc. So that's the manual part of onboarding. And the other big thing we do, and again, you can check this URL out, it's probably been one of the better things we've done with onboarding, is we took everything that we covered in onboarding and we put it on a single FAQ page. And it's just spurlingfitness.com/client. And it's the simplest page in the world. It's literally drop down frequently asked questions. Like, how do you schedule? Here's the links, here's how to do it. What happens when you get injured, right? All the same stuff we covered in onboarding, but in one central place. Now, this is very important for those of you that have teams because your team will not remember any of this stuff. As much as you train and role play with them, they just won't, and frankly, it's not their job to remember details on how to change your membership or what your billing thing, like that's not their department. But we could easily train them to say, hey, if a client has a single question and it's a frequently asked question, just direct them to this URL. So we have QR codes in the facility, everything linked back to, on the onboarding, it always links back to the spurlingfitness.com/client. It's a public page, there's no login, there's none of that. And it's just a nice place where, people that have a question, maybe it reduces the amount of admin kind of customer service-based questions that you might get. So we really like that. We introduce that to clients in day one. So that's your first 30-day map. Second big part of the delivery engine is going to be the session itself and choreographing from start to finish what happens in the session. Pre-session, during session, post-session. So session flow, little things like client's greeting by first name. What are you asking during the warm-up? What is the session flow like itself? And then post-session, we have standard questions that the coaches ask at the end of every session. So again, your goal would not be to you already know your session flow. Like my goal is not to teach you what a good session flow is. That's not the opportunity here. The opportunity here is to make sure that that session flow, this one, by the way, is super important for those of you that have team. If you're a solopreneur, this is not as important because you're the one delivering. But if you have a team, you want people delivering the same session flow every single time, right? Cheesy example I always use. This morning we ordered coffee from Dunks. Dunks, we're in Orlando, Florida. I live in Maine. I got the same coffee that I always get in Maine. It tastes the exact same, right? They use the same process. That's what you want with your session, is you want the same process. Clients, especially a lot of the clients that we work with, athletes less so, but I think the parents appreciate this, is certainty. People, we work with a population that is very scattered, their lives are very chaotic, very high stress. They want a very clean and controlled environment. And part of that is they know what the flow is. Like that's why the pod model, which is what we run as well. I know many of you deliver that same model. That's why the pods, I mean, COVID popularized it, but that's why they're still here, because people like going, hey, you're in spot one today. This is my stuff. Yes, I can move around. Like I'm not worried about that anymore, but like this is my stuff. I like that. It's organized, it's clean, versus like this just open-ended, scattered stuff. So session flow, coach behavior. We use the 5P acronym. So you don't have to use the 5 Ps, but it's behavior that we want to constantly talk about. So examples, pace, making sure the coach is constantly pacing the room. Posture, are you presenting in a body language that is friendly and inviting, or are you intimidating looking, or do you look bored because you're holding up the rack that's bolted into the floor that doesn't need held up? Silly examples like that. That would be an example of posture and pace. Preparedness would be another one, right? So making sure they're prepared. Basically, it's all your pet peeves that you have of your coaches. And we just put it in an acronym to say, these are the 5 things we're going to talk about constantly, right? And again, nobody's going to remember this checklist of all the things they're going to do in a session. This is not going to happen. It's not how coaching works. But you can constantly say, hey, awesome job. I saw you were super prepared for your session. Or, hey, I loved your pace. Or you were another one is present, right? Like you're very present with the client. You're not thinking about other things. You're not making it about yourself. You're very present with the people. So it just helps you speak a common language with your team. And the last part of your session standards or your session experience is going to be, and this is really big in the training gym world, is having a standard note system. This doesn't get talked about a lot, and it's something that has become a bigger issue for us that we've had to clean up, is many of us have a programming delivery that then requires notes, the occasional note to be injected. For example, program says to do this, but the client can't do that, so we're going to swap it to this. Or, hey, the client loves using the sled, incorporate the sled, whatever. Like all these kind of personal notes that make a big difference. Or the client has an injury. Now in the one-on-one world, that's super easy. In the semi-private world, that's super easy because everybody's on their own program. When you move into the small group and higher models, you run into models where you're working off of templates and you rely on good notes. So the acronym that we use, I don't actually love the name of it. Josh came up with it, but it sticks, is PIG. And PIG, it's an internal acronym. We don't tell clients this. Maybe help me come up with a better acronym once you hear it. It stands for Program, Injuries, and Goals. And for those of you in the PT world and in the medical field, you know the SOAP acronym, right? That's how they standardize their notes, is they use the SOAP acronym, right? And so I basically stole that. I was like, what's our version of a SOAP note? So that every client, the words they say is the words that they put under PING or SOAP, right? Subjective, objective assessment plan, I think, is the words that they write is up to them. That's the coach discretion, right? But you're not just going to write a paragraph about randomness. You're going to write a line about program preferences, right? Is there something, and the filter I use for notes is I haven't coached a session in 10, 15 years. If I were to walk into a session and have to coach, I know how to demonstrate an exercise. I can coach, but if I don't know that client hates the TRX, and like that has to be somewhere noted. Because if the program says TRX and I come in, I can coach the heck out of a TRX. But if that client hates it, then that experience just went down the shitter. So program preferences is the P. I is any injuries that we need to know about. And G is any big goals that they're working on. So these aren't updated every day. We do encourage coaches to update them as things update within it, as things change within it. But they're just pinned on their profile, so anytime a different coach works with that client, they know the PIG. All right, the last part of your delivery is recognition and accountability. Recognition and accountability, and this is basically just monitoring people, celebrating people's milestones. Big ones here is I'm a big fan of celebrating visit milestones. I think it's the easiest thing to track and it's the easiest thing to celebrate. And it's a big deal to people. So track 10 visits, 25 visits, 50 visits, 100 visits, whatever milestones you want to build out. Many of you have seen our new facilities. We've started incorporating, Josh is like an avid, I'm not, Josh is an avid hiker. He's like big into the hiking stuff. And so we've kind of ran with that, with the whole idea of like client's journey and you know, kind of the whole climbing up a mountain, and it's about the journey, not just getting to the top, blah, 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 right? So we built out Milestone Mountain, which is a visual mountain, and 10 visits is at the bottom. And they move up the mountain. They have their name on a little magnetic thing that moves up the mountain as they reach the next milestone. So little things like that, you know, it costs us, I don't know, $800 to make that board. But it's in the lobby when you walk in. People love seeing all the other people where they're at in the milestone, and they get to move their name up. Things like that, your version of that. Many of you do the hold up the visit board. I think all that stuff it's very easy to do, but here's the thing about it. It's also very easy not to do. It's very easy to do. It's also very easy not to do. And that is the difference between the client feeling celebrated, feeling acknowledged, feeling a part of it. It's not the programming. It's not the X's and the O's. So I would pick one that you feel like you can execute on and build a process around that. In regards to the accountability, the one that if you don't have installed, I would recommend installing is your at-risk process. Your at-risk process is a very simple report that you pull every Monday, and it identifies people that were not in the previous week. And at early stage or at smaller client loads, it's not a big deal because you can remember who was not in last week. But as you grow, you will get to a point, typically 50, 70, 80, 100 plus clients, where there's no possible way you remember if Susie was in last week or not. And so you want to have a catch report every week that pulls anybody that was not in last week, and they get a personal reach out. All right, let's talk about the fourth one. And the fourth one and the fifth one, I would say, again, this is a 90-day sprint. We're into the 60-day mark here, so we're 2 months in of this sprint. I would certainly want you to nail this in order. Sometimes I will preface my presentations by saying this is not in a certain order. This one is in an order. Like I would want demand, conversion, and delivery nailed down before I start messing with some of this other stuff in 4 and 5. So your fourth one is your team and delegation. This is basically getting to the point where the team is implementing and you are living and working your ideal role. Whether that's coaching or not, totally up to you. I'm not here to tell you you shouldn't coach. I'm a big proponent of you should be able to do what you want to do. So if your ideal week includes coaching, that's fine. If your ideal week doesn't include coaching, let's build a team around that. So there's 3 components of building your team. There's hiring, onboarding, and then ongoing development. So we'll break those three down just at a high level. In regards to hiring, I think in this landscape, I would always be hiring. What I mean by that is I would always be recruiting. I would always be having the door open that I will have a conversation if you are interested. We have another URL that you can check out called spurlingfitness.com/jobs. And it is live 365. And during certain times of the year, obviously we turn up the traffic to it. During certain times of the year, we don't. If we don't need a hire right now, we won't turn traffic to it, but it doesn't mean it's not out there. I think as you grow as a business owner, you will quickly learn, if you have not already, that people are your biggest problem. They're also your biggest asset, but they are what allow you to have kind of your ideal business. And the people that you bring on are the key to that. So hiring is something that we're always looking for the right person. Doesn't mean, the nice thing about hiring, or recruiting I should say, is you're not committing anything financially until they actually are employed. So it's not an expense to you. I can do a whole workshop on training, so I won't go, or on hiring, so I won't go down the whole rabbit hole. The biggest thing I'll say with hiring is our best coaches are non-fitness people. Our best hires are people that have no fitness background or just a passion for fitness. And I would always, always, always put your ego aside and hire the personality, train the skill. Hire the smile, however you want to think about it. Our best coaches are the ones that, yes, they like fitness, of course, but they're not the masters with the CS that has 10 years experience. They are the person that worked in corporate America that hated their job, that wants to now do fitness, and they love helping people. They're not here for the money, blah, 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 blah. We look for those people. The ego-driven, I know everything about training and I want to make 100 grand as a trainer, they can go in a health club and go do it themselves. That's not the person that typically works well in a training gym. Onboarding, and again, I do have to, because these are 5, I do have to cruise through some of it a little faster. As far as your onboarding goes, my best tip with onboarding is always going to be to map it out as you would with a curriculum. Like, treat it as an intern. If you had an intern, you would have weekly, like if they go to school, they're going to have weekly courses, they're going to have tests, they're going to have quizzes, they're going to have practicals, etc. Onboarding is the exact same. In Project 500, I go over what I call the academy. The reason why I called it the academy is because I modeled it very much after the university, which is, I'm going to put you in the classroom, but I'm also going to, like when I went to school for exercise science, it was classroom and then internship. Classroom, internship, quizzes, tests, practical exams, etc. Right? And then you got your degree. So I'm trying to get you your degree in 60 days. Like, I'm trying to make you certified under my umbrella in 60 days. So that's going to involve classes, which is, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to also build in some practical. So you're going to teach me, say, for example, how do you navigate this exercise? Or what happens when a client walks in with this injury? What are you doing? That would be a practical example. And then I'm a big fan of co-coaching. I don't like shadowing. That has not served us well. We don't shadow. Shadowing is standing on the wall, holding it up and watching, and it's very awkward for both parties. Co-coaching is, you are alongside me and we are going to handle this session together. Here's the parts that you're going to do. Here's the parts that I'm going to do. And the part that you do grows over time, but you are still owning parts of the session. And that's a much quicker learning path than shadowing. The final part on team is, they will always need ongoing accountability, just like we all do. You always need to provide ongoing accountability. So we do that through a couple different tools. The first tool is an individual check-in, which we call a 515. The 515 meeting is a 5-question form that they answer on Fridays, similar to, for those of you in Project 500, the Friday 5 that you answer for me. Our team in the gyms have a 5-question, how was your week? Then they meet with their head coach on Monday mornings, 15 minutes, standing, quick. This is not like I'm going to cry about my whole life or here's what the next 6 months look like. That's different. It's how was last week? What are we focused on this week? It's just a weekly cadence. So you do have to get good at not making it bigger than it needs to be. It's just a quick, standing, weekly cadence. The other one, if you have a team, that I would highly encourage you to find a way to make work is the team meeting. The team meeting happens once a week, same time, same day, every week. We have head coaches at each of our locations that run these, and I quickly learned that they didn't think that was important. I learned that their team meetings were like happening at some point, like it was supposed to be at 1:15 and like, 2 o'clock sometimes, 1:30 sometimes. Oh, this person's coming in. No, like go back to your sports days. Like if the practice is at 2 o'clock, practice at 2 o'clock. The team meeting's at 1 o'clock, it's at 1 o'clock. You have to honor that. The team has to honor that. And it's a role play based meeting. It's not sitting around chatting, it's practice. So we're going to have a topic. The topic could be anything. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of topics. It could be how you're going to handle a walk-in. It could be how you're going to handle this particular injury. It could be, hey, next month's program has this exercise. Let's all go through and coach it up so we know how we're coaching it the same way. We role play. That's a team meeting. And the last big thing for the team that I really like is we do them biannually. They're every 6 months. We call them roadmap sessions. And they're basically a lunch date, coffee date. And we take them out for coffee, we take them out for lunch, and we have no agenda. We have no computers. We just have a pad of paper and a pen and a cup of coffee and say, how you liking things and where do you want to go from here? And that hopefully, if you have a good rapport with them, stems into a good relationship of where they want to grow. Sometimes that's with you, sometimes it's not with you. But I don't know about you, if you are going to leave, it'd be nice to know. So for example, we've had people that have said, hey, I want to become a head coach. Cool, let's build out that path if we think it's a good fit for you. We want people that are going to go back to nursing school in 6 months. Okay, cool, let's build out a graduation plan so that we can work on hiring over the next 6 months. So it's not always how do you grow within us? It's just making sure that they're happy now and where they want to be in the next 6 to 12 months. These are every 6 months. So I try to keep it focused on 6 months, not like 5 years from now, where would you like to be? That's quite unrealistic. But if we do them every 6 months, then hey, for the next 6 months, what are you focused on? Anything I can support you with? Any continuing ed you want to focus on? And then if there's anything kind of behind the scenes, they might use that opportunity to reveal it. Meaning, hey, by the way, I'm thinking about going back to school for this, or by the way, I'm going to be moving in 3 months, or we just found out our director of client experience is pregnant. Like, okay, cool, super happy, but like, high five, I got to go hire somebody, right? So it allows you to be, I think, a little bit more proactive with your team rather than just getting a lot of this stuff kind of thrown at you last minute. All right, last one. Last one is your owner and taking care of you as the owner and building wealth. I cannot do a presentation without talking about it. I think it's the most important thing for you personally is to make sure that you are continuing to protect yourself as you grow the business and not create a situation where you grow as a business owner, but you don't personally benefit from that growth. So this is the stage or the process, the system where you make sure things are organized on the back end to financially benefit from the business. So the first thing that is low-hanging fruit is you have to know your numbers. There's certain things that are negotiable, and this is not one of them. Every Friday, we have a 15-minute block on the calendar where the team updates the scoreboard. It's just like a training session. It's scheduled. So you're not going to not show up to a training session. You're not going to not show up to the scoreboard. Like the scoreboard is at whatever time it is, 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So you're going to go into your laptop and you're going to update the scoreboard. So your scoreboard does not need to be complicated. You get a scoreboard, as you all know. The basic ones: leads, appointments, new clients, how many people left. Honestly, if you track those, you're ahead of 90%. So just focus on tracking those. Biggest thing with the scoreboard is taking action on the lowest hanging one for the next week. So the scoreboard, just tracking it doesn't do anything, right? That's busy work. Tracking the scoreboard is, I mean, a monkey can do that. AI can probably do that, right? Tracking the numbers is not the skill. The skill is saying, okay, I'm tracking these 5 numbers. Even if it's 5 numbers, track the 5 numbers. Okay, which of these 5 numbers is the most off track? Because, shocker, they're always going to be off track. That's business, right? You're never going to be happy with any of these 5 numbers. I mean, you got to figure out how you tick, but like, I'm never pleased with any of those numbers. It's like, cool, but I can't fix all 5 next week. So based upon the 5, and I'm just using 5 as an example, maybe it's 7 numbers you track. I don't think you need to track more than 10, but you got your numbers that you track. Leads, appointments, closes, lost people, whatever, right? Which of those is the most off track? And that's my focus for next week. So that next Friday comes around, hopefully that's not the one that's most off track. There's another one to fix. Because every Friday there'll be something to fix. And that's how I plan my week for the following week. Friday you do the scoreboard. That creates my focus for next week. So if leads are off track, I better have lead generating strategies on my planner next week. All right. Next one is profit first, implementing a profit first system. We need to get to a point where these businesses are cash flowing. Big saying we use in our programs, as many of you have heard it, this is a cash flow business. This is not a cash out business. In the software world, as many of you know, you make no money and then you sell, maybe, and then you make your money, right? We don't have that business. There is no pot of gold at the end of this. And if there is a pot of gold, it's pretty small, right? There's not a lot of people that retired from selling their gyms, right? So what that means is it can be a very big cash flow business. You should be able to, at ideal percentages, which I realize are ideal and not maybe realistic right now, but at ideal percentages, you should be keeping 1/3 of the business gross revenue. So if I'm doing 30 grand, I should be able to take 10 grand a month. Now, minimum, I try to get gyms to 20%, and then over time, we push that threshold up to 30%. But you can start with 1%. I mean, that's the whole profit first model, right? So for those of you not familiar with profit first, I do recommend reading the book. It maps it out better than I ever could. It's very basic. We've simplified it. You'll see on here, we have 5 accounts that we use. I think it teaches 7 or 8, I don't remember, but we simplify it. We do 5 accounts. So your payment processing money, all of that goes into one account, right? So all your money comes into one account. And then twice a month, we do the 10th and the 25th. There are 4 other accounts that are set up that on the 10th and the 25th, money gets transferred to those accounts. And those accounts are payroll, profit, owner pay, and taxes. Payroll, profit, owner pay, and taxes. And we just allocate a percentage, and that percentage grows over time. So in an ideal world, payroll's around 40%. So if your gross revenue is, say, 20 grand, you'd have 8 grand that goes towards payroll. So on the 10th and the 25th, I'd be doing 4 grand and 4 grand, right? The key is to get it out of that income account. I like having payroll in a separate account because payroll, if you have a brick and mortar gym, payroll will be your biggest expense. It will, if it hasn't already, it will largely surpass your rent and it will become your biggest expense. And so I like to keep a very tight eye on what that is. So I keep it in a separate account just for payroll. Profit and owner's pay, I always get a question, what's the difference? For some businesses, frankly, there isn't. Profit, owner's pay, and taxes, there isn't a difference. So if you really wanted to keep it simple, you could merge that into 3. Over time, a mature business does separate those three. Profit would be money that you keep in the business. And at some point, maybe you reinvest it, right? So you're keeping it in the business, in that profit account. Over time, that builds up and you reinvest it. That could be in a hire, that could be, in facilities, whatever. But that's where you're pulling your reinvestment from. Your owner's pay is your take-home income. And then obviously, we have this lovely thing called taxes, and we don't like being surprised by it. So I do recommend that you allocate a percentage. What that percentage is would be unique to your situation, but I do recommend allocating a percentage of that every month. So what we do in the beginning with these accounts is we start them at very small percentages just to build the habit. So I'm talking 1%, 2%, 5%, but it happens on the 10th and the 25th. Then you build the rhythm of that just happening organically, right? Just like any other habit. You build that habit. Then once it becomes a habit, now you gamify it. And the game becomes, I want that income account to be as low as possible, right? Because if that's as low as possible and revenue's growing, that means that money's going into owner's pay, going into profit, right? So I gamify increasing those percentages over time and trying to increase that percentage every month. All right, last thing. Before I move on from that, just make sure, again, this could be a whole presentation, so I can't go deep on it, but make sure you're doing something with that profit. Once you start generating profit, it can be very easy to just reinvest it. So that's why I like the profit versus the owner's pay. Keep your profit there. Maybe it's for a hire, maybe like as a hire in our business, there's always that like, I got to put the cart before the horse a little bit, right? Like I need to hire that trainer before I have, there's more supply, right? So maybe that gives me a little cushion on the hire. Your owner's pay should go to you and you should do something with that owner's pay. Obviously you have your bills to pay, but on top of that, whether you're investing in real estate, investing in index funds, it should be producing some type of wealth so that when the day does come that you get rid of your gym, you have something else to count on. All right, the last thing that I think is super important with the owner is this has probably been, I could probably put it in my top 5 things we've done, is adopting the 6-week sprint. And we talk about this in our coaching program, and I don't think it gets the weight that it needs. Our whole business runs on the 6-week sprint. Like without that, we don't have a business. So the 6-week sprint, how we adopt that, and adopt meaning, maybe adapt is a better term. We tweak it, right? So it sets priorities for the business, which for us, you are the one running this, right? Because our businesses are not big enough where there's multiple people running a sprint. It's really an exercise for you that you then get the team to kind of buy into. But every 7 weeks, we meet off-site as a team. So at the end of a 6-week sprint, during that gap week, that 7th week, we meet off-site and we prioritize what are the big rocks, what are the big priorities for the next 6 weeks. And this can be an exercise that you do, but this is like, I don't have it up because I'm presenting right now, but on any given day, I have a couple tabs open on my computer. I'm not like a tab master with the 1 tab and 17 tabs, but I do have a couple tabs. One is if you're in Project 500, you are on a dashboard that I see everything that you're doing and have you checked in, have you been on Zoom. That is always a tab open. The second tab is we have a mutual doc of the projects that we're working on for 2026, right? The third tab is the Spurling Fitness 6-week sprint. It never closes, every day. I want to make sure that we're moving forward. Something on that list is moving forward on. So that could be, hey, we need to hire this 6-week sprint. Hey, let's overhaul our pricing this 6-week sprint, right? So go back to some of the other systems. This is where I map it out. Hey, over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to install the 3 R's. I'm going to get our pricing profitable, and that's it. That's my focus for the next 6 weeks. And then the key is, like, if you go on our company calendar, you'll see a 6-week sprint it's a 7-week cycle because of that gap week, right? 6 weeks, meeting, 6 weeks. But you'll see them mapped out for the whole year. So the whole team knows about these dates. They're 4 hours long. It's basically a reset, get the team rallied, get them focused, and set priorities. That's all strategy is. Business, by the way, we'd like to throw out the term strategy. It's like one of those, it's like scaling. Everybody likes to use the word, right? All strategy is like, what am I working on? What's the priorities right now? That's all I think about it is. So that would be the final thing on the fifth system. So your next 72 hours as you leave here, I would start at the top and I would build out your demand engine. I would make sure you have the 3 R's in place. I would make sure you have a plan for paid ads, and I would implement the 3-2-1 strategy. You got to get that demand engine cranking, and that has to become right now I would envision in this room that is the most stressful part of your business or the most inconsistent. That has to switch. Like that's my personal goal, by the way, for those of you that I coach, is like the marketing is actually the easy part. And the tweaking is the people, the profit, the pricing, the sales, like that stuff. It takes work, but we want that demand engine to be just cranking and demand's coming in, and then we work on the fulfillment. So focus on the demand engine and then we can stack from there. All right, I know that was like drinking from a fire hose. Hopefully it was helpful. Take questions now.